Hey, you got to build your business big enough that Stephen Davies gives you a nickname. I'm just telling you. Mia, I would like to thank you personally for taking your parents to Aruba. I have 2 daughters in the room. That'd be good. So, all right, I'm going to talk to you about the 8 steps. Andy Albright has written a book, and he's really been talking a lot about the 8 steps recently and how we used to just hammer the 8 steps all the time, teaching it. And then we got the book and we got the audio, and so we just started distributing it and not making sure that people actually knew them and understood them. These are the basics, the fundamentals of our business, the 8 steps. This is what will decide whether you make a 6-figure income and beyond or not. I don't know of one person making 6 figures in our company that doesn't consistently do the 8 steps. In fact, Andy guarantees it. Here's what he's always said. If you will do the 8 steps to the best of your ability, he will guarantee you a $100,000 income. That means if you only made $80,000, he'll stroke you a check for an additional $20,000, get you up to $100,000. However, anything above $100,000, you got to kick back to him. And people are always like, whoa. Of course, if I did everything I'm supposed to do, then I'd be successful. If you know if you do everything you're supposed to do, you'd be successful, then what's holding you back from being successful? So maybe it's just that you don't understand everything you're supposed to do. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So Vince Lombardi, he was a great NFL coach. Some people claim one of the best, arguably the best, definitely one of the top. He started every season, first preseason practice. He'd get his team together. Now, these guys won the first 2 Super Bowls, the Green Bay Packers. They won multiple championships before they even had Super Bowls. But he would pull this championship football team together. And the first thing he would say is this: gentlemen, this is a football. Now, do you think that these players didn't know what a football looked like? What he was doing was reminding them that the basics, the fundamentals, we can't lose track of the fundamentals. John Wooden, again, arguably one of the greatest coaches ever in college basketball, coached UCLA to like 11 national championships in 13 years, something crazy like that. Streak was broken by NC State, by the way. Go Pack. Sorry, Fitz. What he would do, his first practice with these elite championship basketball players, he would show them how to put their tube socks on. Why? Why deal with something so minute, deal with something so detailed? It's because he knew if you didn't roll the socks right and you left a little space, then it would rub. And if it rubbed, you get a blister. And if you got a blister, you wouldn't practice to your best. And if you don't practice to your best, you don't play to your best. So he's just going to eliminate the issue right up front. It's those ideas. Learn to take these 8 steps literally. These aren't theories. These are facts. The facts. These are things that we know work. All you got to do is do them. Think about it like this. Could you imagine being a pastor and not knowing the 10 Commandments? How can you be an alliance person and not know the 8 steps to success? You need to take them that seriously. All right. What you have with these 8 steps is a recipe for success. If you're baking, aren't they cute? If you're the baker, you have to follow the recipe exactly as it said. If you substitute in salt when it called for sugar, that's how some of us are running our businesses. We're pouring in a lot of salt when we're supposed to be putting the sugar in, and we're wondering why it's not working. We're wondering why when we pull it out of the oven, it tastes a little salty. Some of your people might be a little salty, but it's because of the way that you're putting the ingredients together. It's like a combination to a safe. You got to do them in order. You remember middle school? Somebody mentioned middle school earlier. You remember high school, where you had 30 seconds to go to your locker, change out your books, get to the next class. And the locker, if you didn't have that combination down perfectly, you were going to be late for class because you'd have to do it over and over again. This 8 steps is your combination to the safe of success. You have the cure. You are the doctor with the cure for poverty and disease, excusitis. All you have to do is apply the cure. The 8 steps is the cure. And those of you who are team building, those of you who have people that are counting on you to coach them, it is your job to give them the proper cure. Why are you letting them walk around sick? We're the ones who know it. We need to teach it. We need to give them the tools they need to win that disease of poverty, to win excusitis. All right, so what are the 8 steps? Number 1, personal use. We have a lot of carriers. I hope you're meeting them out there. I hope you're spending time with them. I hope you're getting their business cards, building relationships, take a picture with them, put them in the phone, text them your picture so they know who's calling them, because that is crucial to you helping your business grow. We have these products. We have, oh my God, look, I'm not going to go through the product lines that we have, but we have something for everything. One of the things I love when I'm talking to people about recruiting is this. You'll never have to walk away from a client without being able to offer something. The portfolio that Andy Albright has put together is just second to none. So let me ask you this. If you were accused in a court of law of being an alliance agent, is there enough evidence in your insurance file to convict you? How many policies do you have? And I realize some of you guys are brand new and you're just getting started and you don't have much of a budget. Start with an accidental death policy. Just start with something, and then as your business grows, as your sales grow, go ahead and add more policies to your pile. It's not a one and done thing. Personal use is something that will always keep moving forward. Here's the other thing about personal use. I think one of the saddest things to hear is for an insurance agent to pass away and somebody has to do a GoFundMe. How are you able to help other families when you haven't even helped yourself? We call it the don't be a hypocrite rule. You think somebody else needs it, but you don't need it? Things that make you go, All right, number 2, work. I don't know when that was from. That was just me doing a meeting. That's work. Getting in your car, driving somewhere, getting on a plane, flying somewhere, going out and serving other people. Obviously, you're running the appointments, making the sales. That's the work part. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on work because we have so many other speakers covering it so well. Fitz talked about the schedule and your time management. Mia talked about it as well. We had that panel up here talking about how to do the work. Just understand, this is a do the do business. Do the do, not dopey dope. You gotta do the do. You gotta sell, recruit, and build. We do one thing here at the Alliance, just one thing. We sell, recruit, and build. It's just one thing. Sell, recruit, and build. Get it in your schedule, all 3 aspects of it in your schedule, and do the do. Put the work in. You gotta do the STPs, baby. You gotta do what are the STPs? See the people. Show the plan. Sell the product. Stuff the pockets. And if you do it right, sex tonight, please. All right. No. Dream team, can I hear ya? All right, number 3. I didn't point at you. It's the royal we. Number 3 is listen. Doesn't that look like Andy's car? I think that's Andy's car. Turn your car into a rolling university. You have to educate yourself. Here's what I like about the 8 steps. To me, they break down into 3 categories. 1 and 2, personal use, work, is things you do. It's the physical activity. And that was the thing that I had to, I was good at personal use. I'll spend $1 in a heartbeat. I am not scared to spend money. I got credit cards and know how to use them. The work part I had to figure out. I was not disciplined. I was scared of people. I did not like, I like being home watching TV. That's my go-to jam. And so the idea of meeting people I didn't know was not fun for me. So I had to start doing more of steps 3, 4, and 5, which is personal development. Where I was not going to get me the goals, the lifestyle, the obligations I felt I made to Andy and Jane, that I made to Beth, that I made to my teammates. I remember having a conversation with Fitz and Davies down in Puerto Rico. We were on one of these trips, and I told them, I made a commitment I would not be the weak link. We had some situations going on, and my buddies held me, and they believed in me. So I had to get better because where I wasn't gonna allow me to get where I wanted to go. So I had to start listening to audio. See, you can listen to ESPN radio, you can listen to Fox News, you can listen to country music, you can listen to all these different things, and all of that's fine as long as it's scheduled. But you also need to make sure, you don't need to do anything, but we're talking like, I'm talking to you like everybody in here needs to make $100,000 a year or more. So if you're one of those that don't need to do that, that's okay. I'm talking to the ones who do. Is that okay? Is that fair? So when you're exercising, plug in a podcast, plug in a move CD. They're not CDs anymore, but podcast. Andy Albright, Andy Albright podcast. Training. I've started listening to more stuff on financial things because we started doing these estate planning seminars. I need to educate myself. I need to get better. What are you listening to? I love ESPN radio. They don't put any money in my bank account. K-Love asks for money. They don't send me money. So I need to listen to things that are going to help move the needle forward for me, my family, and my business. Make your car a rolling university. Minimum 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day. Can we do that? Can we make a commitment to ourselves that you can do 15 minutes a day? Thank you. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. Number 4 is read. That was a bold hairstyle, Emily. Bold choices. She's reading the 8 Steps to Success. No, I'm sorry. She's reading the Millionaire Maker Manual right there. We were going on a road trip somewhere, and she was reading. We taught our kids early to read. John Maxwell, we went to a John Maxwell seminar, and he says, pay your kids to read books. Pay them more to read business books. And guys, we have books for all age levels on the book list. Andy Albright has put together a very extensive book list. We got books for every single person. We got Dr. Seuss on there. We got John Gordon on there, Andy Andrews. We got Og Mandino. We got stories. We got short books that are like 70 pages, and it makes you feel real good that you read a whole book. And there's like big words, lots of spaces. Like some of the pages have like 8 words on it, and it's just like, nailed it. 10 pages a day, I'll go for 12. The goal is a minimum of 15 minutes a day. Sneak it in. See, here's what people get confused of. It's just like, I don't have time to read. I saw this somewhere. You know, if you're too busy to make time for God, then you're busier than God wants you to be. And it's not that you're too busy. It's just that you're not prioritizing. And Shayla said earlier, the people you hang around will determine where you are 5 years from now. Also, the books you choose to read over the next 5 years will determine what kind of person you are. There is no better way to grow internally, which, by the way, guys, we need internal growth first before we can get the external growth of our business. You will never out-earn your self-image. You can do all the work you want to do, but if you don't believe you're worthy of it, you're not going to make it. Most people, you know what most people do? They make just as much as their daddy used to make. And as soon as they start making a little bit more than their daddy, they somehow start sabotaging their business. It's a deep psychological thing. How do you know that? I've read books on these things. And we have to learn how to overcome these limiting beliefs. We have to learn how to overcome these limitations we put on ourselves that keep us where we're stuck. We do just enough to stay frustrated because we don't know how to get beyond that. The books you read will help you get well beyond that. So sneak it in. Nobody said you need to have 15 straight minutes. You can read 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes before you go to bed. 5 plus 5 plus, I ain't a math wizard, but I can do 5 plus 5 plus 5. There's my 15 minutes. But be careful. Don't allow minimums to become maximums. That's another human flaw most of us have. I have. Minimums become maximums. The goal is to keep ramping up. The goal is to get up to an hour a day. The goal is to keep educating ourselves. And by the way, I know a lot of people, we have Audible, and we have these other audio books that we listen to. Hey guys, Audible, books on audio, that's number 3. That's team step number 3. It's not team step number 4. Okay. That's listening. It's not reading. Reading involves your eyes. Okay? There's a book on Andy's book list. It's called Read and Get Rich. And what it talks about is this. There is your brain processes the information differently when your eyes go across the paper and your finger goes across the paper under the words. It's visual learning. Some of us are audio learning. Some of us are visual learning. Most of us, though, are a combination of everything. And if all you're doing is listening to books on audio, then I almost said books on tape. Boomer. Actually, I'm an Xer. I just missed. Boomer. My name's Adam Katz. I'm from Wilmington, North. When all you're doing is listening, you're only getting a portion of the training. So make sure that you're actually doing the reading. Turn off the TV. I know, I'm going to say something sacrilegious right here. Please, God, forgive me. Turn off the TV and read more. It's only temporary, just for a season, just until you're making millions. Then when you're making millions, watch whatever you want. Or don't. But at least you'll have that control. At least you'll get to make that decision. Attend all meetings. We got an NBC, bum, 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 coming up October 18th to the 20th, somewhere in the United States of America. They will be announcing it later this afternoon. You will have an opportunity to buy tickets later this afternoon. Be the first on your team to get tickets. Be the example you want your people to follow. You know, so many people are like, I don't understand why my team's not working. Well, let's go through the 8 steps with you, Skippy. Let's see what example you are setting for them to work. Attend all meetings. That's such a small word. It's only 3 letters. It's actually only 2 letters. One of them repeats itself. All. If you pick and choose, then you will lose. So what is a meeting? The Wednesday call is a meeting. Here's the cool thing. You can do it between appointments while you're driving, but listen to it live. I know so many of you, well, I got a busy schedule. I'll go back and watch the replay. And that's better than not watching it at all, to be crystal clear. But it's not as good as watching it live. Because when you go back and put it on replay, you're doing other stuff. Washing the dishes, cooking some food, doing some laundry. But you're not focused on it. If you watch it live, you're more focused, taking notes. Have a notebook in front of you. Take notes on the TWC. Do you understand what Andy Albright has accomplished in the business world? Not only has he created the Alliance, the greatest opportunity in our life, that all of us can take advantage of. You don't have to be some super genius technical wizard to create a new cell phone or something like that. We can all do this. I'm proof that anybody can do this. Some of us are here to inspire. Others of us are here to give hope. You can do this. The odds on everything about my personality, my family still laughs. I've been doing this now for 24 years. My family still laughs and gets a kick out of it that I make my living on the phone. When I first started, I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories. This is how much I hated rejection, how much I feared rejection. The first date I had with Beth was our junior prom in high school. Aww. My chemistry teacher asked her out first for me. So it was Match.com back in 1986. So my chemistry teacher asked if Beth would go with me if I asked. And then later that night at the student government meeting, I had my sister ask just to verify and make sure. I needed 2 confirms yes before I was willing to pick up the phone and ask her out. That's a 2-factor. I was secure. My password was secure. And when we started dating, I told her, I will call you to tell you what time I'll pick you up, but don't expect any other phone calls. I was very romantic. But I was not the guy that was going to sit on the phone for an hour and a half talking about I don't know what. I didn't have that much to say, and I wasn't a very good listener. So what was the point? So in order to change, you got to educate yourself. You got to grow. We have the Wednesday calls. We have the product calls. Andy Albright pouring in his wisdom, the activity calls. Do you know how much you would have to spend to get an hour and a half, 2.5 hours a week of a man worth soon to be 10 figures? You understand the amount of business Andy Albright has generated? How well respected he is in the world? And we're just like, oh, it's just Andy dancing to Beyonce. We have access. We've spent upwards of $6,000 to spend 2 days with John Maxwell. Fitz has done it. I've done it. Davies has done it. A bunch of other ones in here. Mike and Noel have done it. $6,000. Did we charge $6,000 for this weekend? And hey, this is what we do. John Maxwell has never sold an insurance policy. His was not industry specific. This is industry specific. And you got Andy Albright on stage how many times this weekend? His thought process. And by the way, we're giving you Andy's thought process by proxy. Everybody else standing up here has learned from Andy Albright. We've sat at his knee, taking notes, learning how this business works, how the world works. And you have access to all of this information. Why would you skip a meeting? Why? But why? But why? You got local hotspot meetings. We don't have them as much as we used to pre-COVID, but we still have them in different places. Those are big rocks on your calendar. Fitz talked about managing your time. Those are big rocks on your calendar. Those are not the ones you negotiate. I congratulate each and every person here. You found a way to get to Burlington, North Carolina. We have people who couldn't figure it out. There are people in Burlington that couldn't figure out how to get here. But you guys overcame whatever obstacle you had to overcome to get here. And let me tell you this, those of you who had the biggest obstacle at all to get here, you ought to be celebrating. You ought to be doing a hallelujah. Because the bigger the obstacle you overcame to get here, the more you're going to get from this. The ones who it was just convenient, they're not taking it as seriously as those of you who fought tooth and nail to get the information that you need. We have these quarterly conventions. The National Boot Camp is the next one. Here's what you really want to be. You want to be dependable, defendable, and predictable. Dependable. One thing I've always prided, is that a word? Prided myself on. We can say whatever we want. I got the clicker. I can say whatever I want. One thing I've always taken pride in, English, is that good? Beth was an English teacher. Is this. Andy Albright didn't need to worry about whether Katz was going to show up. I may not always do the best job, but I'd always try. And I was dependable. I always lived my life. I tried to live my life. I'm not going to say I always did. I failed many, many times. I am human. But I always tried to live my life in such a way that you could defend my actions if I needed to be defended. And I tried to be predictable. I want my team, I want my family to know this is who I am. And they can predict how I'm going to react in a situation. You know, you see these people, road rage and all kinds of other crazy stuff. People, you know, they're TS. Hey, so I was in Houston, did a meeting in Houston, and got my Uber at 4:30 in the morning to get my 6 a.m. flight. And I get to the airport, and I'm going through my clear line, and he says, you have your boarding pass? And I pull up my phone, and he said, do you have another boarding pass? I was like, it's Houston, right here. He said, you're in the wrong airport. There's two. I had a 50-50 shot. I guessed wrong. I didn't panic. I didn't get mad. It was an adventure. So I went to the American Airlines desk. And I said, hey, can you help me out? He's like, what's the problem? I got a puzzle for you. But he fixed my flight. I made my connection in Dallas, and everything was fine. You know how many people just lose their mind on stuff like that? Oh, how about these shoes? I want to be Andy Riddle one day. Has my initials on it and everything. I got these in Paris. Thank you, American Airlines. They lost our suitcase. So Beth and I got to go on a shopping spree. I could have gone to DSW and gotten a new pair of shoes, but why not get some custom made, well, how do you pronounce it, Riddle? Legazal shoes. They're like $700. I was like, I'll send it in. By the time we got our suitcase back, it had been so messed up. They were just like, whatever you send in, we're paying you. I got like $2,500 of free clothes from that trip. You know how many people lose their mind when your bag is lost? Make it a game. Make it a game. Understand your mindset is so important. Who you're becoming is so much more powerful than who you've been. But it has to be intentional, because if it's not intentional, then who you're becoming is going to be the same person that you've always been. Nothing changes till something changes. All right, number 6. Be teachable. We have such unbelievable mentors. Mark Aceta, Andy Albright, the leaders on this front row. I don't want to start naming leaders' names because I always leave somebody out. But it's just the wealth of knowledge and information that you can tap into. But you got to be open to the training. If you're not, your mind, I heard this 32 years ago. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. You jump out of a plane and never open up that puppy, it's a short journey. Fast, too. If you ain't good at doing things the first time, don't try skydiving. You don't get a second shot. So you got to be open to the training. Don't do the Billy Goat Alliance deal that so many of us have done through our careers. But Andy, you don't understand. But Andy, if the solar nucleus, the polar vortex, ended up shifting by 12 degrees on a Thursday, on a Tuesday, what would happen to my new recruit then? What? What'd you just ask? Be teachable. Clear, concise questions. Get your big butt out of the way. Stop saying, yeah, but, and start saying, got it. I'll make that change. See, 6, 7, and 8, I mentioned 1 and 2, that's what we do. Personal use, work. 3, 4, and 5, listen to audio, read books, attend all meetings. That's personal development. 6, 7, and 8 is who you are. It's my character. I can have a teachable spirit, or I can have a yeah, but spirit. 3 words that'll keep you broke the rest of your life. If I was writing stuff down, I'd write this down. 3 words that will keep you broke the rest of your life. I know that. Because as soon as you say, I know that, you have shut down the listening. You are now smarter than everybody in the room. How's that working out for you? Do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? And understand this, there's always somebody who's like, well, first I want to be both. I want to be both too. But if I had to choose, if it's a multiple choice exam, I want to be rich. Now, right doesn't mean doing unethical things. We're not saying you don't have to be right and you can do whatever you want. We're not saying that, to be crystal clear. What we're saying is this: not everything needs to be your genius idea. Not everything needs to be something you thought of. Andy says this all the time. We don't need more IDs. We need more eyeballs. We need more cheeks and seats. We don't need you to recreate the wheel that has been working for the last 22 years. Andy will make adjustments as we go. Anybody liking this estate seminar stuff? The changes will come as the changes are necessary, but you don't have to be the one finding them. That's what Robbie Kraft is here for. That's what Chris Norris is here for. That's what Andy Albright has surrounded himself with, very smart people to help us get to those things. So quit having to come up with things. Just do the do. Accountable. Who are you accountable to? People are counting on you. I had this one guy, every hot spot, he'd miss. And he'd be like, yeah, a friend needed my help doing this. Oh, yeah, my friend needed help painting this. And I was like, I'm your friend. I need your help too. Can we be friends? Be accountable to your word. Be accountable to your actions. Be accountable for your money. If you order leads, I'm supposed to be doing these. That's who I'm accountable to. I'm accountable to Beth Katz and Andy and Jane Albright. Who are you accountable to? Who do you want holding you? Who do you want mentoring you? And then communicate with a positive attitude. I can't believe Jason had Eeyore on there. I thought this was an original. Communicate with a positive attitude does not mean put your head in the sand and pretend like everything's perfect. What communicate with a positive attitude means is this. It means let's be solution-oriented. We understand there's a problem. You just don't need to retell it 14 other times. We got it the first time. See, how are you communicating? Are you a Tigger? The wonderful thing about Tiggers are a wonderful thing. T-I-double-G-R. He's always happy. He bounces on his tail. He's always fired up. He may not even know where he's going, but he's gonna get there in a hurry and he's gonna be excited about it. I read a long time ago that successful people walk fast. So I was like, I can do that. I mean, I do the other stuff, but I can walk fast. Drives Beth crazy. You get me in an airport, I am playing Frogger like crazy. But I'm gonna get there fast. And when you have a short connection, it's good to practice. Or are you an Eeyore? Well, I guess I got a cancellation. One more no-show. Nobody wants to talk to that. Be positive. Let's focus on the solutions. My background, I was a school teacher. I'm into grades. So how often are you grading yourself? How are you doing on it? List the 8 steps up and grade yourself. How am I doing personal use? Got that one nailed. I got policies. I don't even know what policies we have. You know, since Emily and Sarah got licensed, they're just writing policies on me and Beth left and right. They know my passcodes and everything. It's like, Beth, do we get another policy? I'm doing good on that one. I could still do better, though. I could put more money into my IULs. But at least I have an IUL. How you doing on the work part? Are you a faith without works guy? You know, I believe. I'm a believer. Is your butt a believer? Is there any motivation going into the believing? Faith without works is dead. Here's what I'll wrap up with. There's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not fool thyself. You don't have to go through the 8 steps with your growing up line. You can if you want to. I'm sure all of us would love to go through it with you, those of you who are serious about it. But you ought to grade yourself. You don't need me to grade you. You need to be truthful to yourself. Thou shalt not fool thyself. And understand this. If you think, well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing 7 of the 8. I'm doing everything but reading. All right, let's go through it real quick. And I got to do this quick. But let's go through that real quick. You're doing everything except reading. Well, number 6 said you're teachable. We're teaching you to read. You're not reading. Are you really teachable? Number 7 said you're going to be accountable to the 8 steps. But you're not reading. So you're really not doing number 7 either, are you? And then number 8, if you're not reading, we can always tell when somebody's not reading. Their communication skills are not very good. So you think you're doing 7 of the 8. I think I'm doing 4 of the 8. And you're putting in half the effort expecting 100% results. It won't work. You guys get to choose for yourself what you do with your business. I get to choose for myself. This is a free country. Andy's big on freedom, entrepreneurship. We are in this war against poverty for ourselves and for our families. We get to decide if we're going to get into the battlefield, if we're going to get into the fight, if we're going to get into the emotion of it, and if we're going to follow the 8 steps like our lives and our businesses depend on it. Go out there and do your due and get things done. Thank you, guys.
Don't be talking